All right, so I'm trying something new. It's time for a change. Welcome to Life According to Loerke. My name is Samuel Loerke, and welcome to the first episode of this podcast. My intentions for this podcast are pretty simple: to get the opportunity to share my life and my experiences, and in a very relatable way, deliver them to you guys. So hopefully you can experience life with me and maybe learn a thing or two from the mistakes I've made, the challenges I've gone through, and the transitions that I've been able to make throughout those time periods in my life. So let's jump right in because it's time for change. So, who am I? Why do I believe I have the ability to start a podcast? And the truth is, I don't. I don't think I have the ability to do this. As you can tell, I'm may not be the smoothest with words. I may not articulate the best, but I'm going to step outside my comfort zone and try to do this. Change is something that is difficult for many people. It's something that I think we tend to fight, even if we don't think we're actually fighting it. We like to say that change is sometimes fun, sometimes something that we look for and look forward to, but in all reality, that's not how we're built. Um, we're all wired to feel and be comfortable where we're at. We get used to the situation that we're in, regardless if we like it or not. We're comfortable. And that's where we get stagnant in our life. And becoming stagnant is where we can begin to suffer. And that's what I've noticed throughout this major change that I've made in my life. Maybe not only like 6 months ago or so, I want to say. So let me take it back to the beginning. I've always been an athlete for my entire life. Played every sport you could imagine when I was younger: soccer, football, baseball. I wrestled for a little bit. I dabbled even in like gymnastics for a little while as well, and I loved it. It was part of who I was. And as I began to get older, my love for the game, my love for baseball, my love for specifically baseball and wrestling began to grow, and those were the ones that I stuck with. They were part of who I was, they were part of my life. I ended up wrestling and playing baseball throughout some of high school, and ended up playing baseball for just a couple years in college. I ended up stopping after my sophomore year, and that's a story for another day. However, it's the change that occurred afterwards and the difficulty that I ran into afterwards that is most prevalent and I think is most important to talk about. After baseball and after stopping sports, as it used to take up so many hours of my week, so many hours of my life, I think I kind of slowly lost who I was. I lost my identity, um, and I didn't really know where to go. So instead of pursuing on something that I loved or doing something, changing my life, I became more stagnant. I got back into a comfort zone of where I didn't do anything. Didn't work out. Didn't really hang out with anybody. Was just kind of by myself. And became comfortable that way. Wasn't a big deal to me. It's just who I was. And then I came to a realization about, I don't know, like I said, 6 months ago. Technology is like the funniest thing to me, but it's the most eye-opening. It's crazy to me how much technology is able to track and know where you're at, know what you're doing, what you're looking at, all of that. We've gotten to the point where it seems like no matter where you're at in the world, Apple will find you. That's just the way it is. Um, and it's scary, but it's also something to learn from, and you can notice habits. And that's what happened. So Apple came out with their new phone. It's the iPhone 14. Just one a year as usual. And I got it. Like everybody my age wants to try to get the new phone and upgrade or whatnot. Um, and there was a cool feature that I noticed that it kind of freaked me out the first time it happened. But it was actually really, really interesting because I sat down in my car. I went to Newman University. I just graduated actually. Um, and I was sitting down, about to go to school one day, sat down in my car, turned on my car, and right when my car turned on, I get a notification ding on my phone. I look down my phone. It says 14 minutes to Newman University. It's like, okay, I guess I have 14 minutes to go where I'm going. How does it know where I'm going? That was concerning. But I kind of brushed it off. Now at this time, like I said, wasn't working out. I wasn't doing anything athletic, not lifting, not running, nothing. So what ended up happening was I fell into the rut of fast food, like a lot of people do. I was eating very poorly, wasn't exercising, was putting on weight, not feeling healthy at all, but didn't really care because I was comfortable, like we talked about. And I remember sitting down in my car one day. Like I said, McDonald's was the spot. I loved it. For breakfast. Okay, lunch and dinner, that's a different story. But breakfast at McDonald's was great. You had a couple burritos, maybe a couple biscuits, or McMuffins, something like that. And it would get my day going. That's how I always started. Consistency. Because it was comfortable. It was what I knew. And as I sat down in my car about to drive off to McDonald's, right before class, instead of my phone saying, you have 14 minutes to Newman University, instead said you had 3 minutes to McDonald's. And as I sat there and looked at my phone, I said, well, it's not wrong. And I proceeded to go on my way. And I went about that for the next couple weeks. And every single morning I would wake up, and every time I got into my car, it would ding. Ding, 3 minutes to McDonald's. And it got so repetitive that I brushed away those notifications. But eventually, I looked in the mirror. I was weighing approximately just over 200 pounds, probably like 202. And I had never weighed more than maybe 190 when I was actually playing baseball, which was fine because I was constantly lifting, constantly being active. And I looked in the mirror and I said, okay, it's time to find a way to change. So I had failed multiple times trying to start getting back into weightlifting, get back into working out, being active, and it just never stuck. I had lifted maybe a week, took one day off, and that was it. One day turned into 2 days, turned into a week, turned into not going back. So, why not try it again? Why not step out of my comfort zone one more time and see if this could stick? And instead of thinking, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym at a normal time, like 5 p.m. or something when it felt normal, or in the middle of the day when maybe it would be a little bit easier, everybody was there, I'd gotten a good night's sleep. No, that wasn't what I wanted to do. I decided that I was going to get up the next day at, I believe it was 4 a.m. I was going to be at the gym by 5, and I was going to have my lift done by 7. And when I woke up, I got in my car, and ding, 3 minutes to McDonald's. That resonates in your head as you're thinking, oh my gosh, my comfort zone was calling. It was calling me saying, this is what you're supposed to do. This is your habit. This is what makes your life feel okay. Go. Be okay. And as I went out, McDonald's was to my right, gym is to my left. and I took that first left-hand turn. As I turned left, ended up heading to the gym, had a great workout. Granted, day one, okay? Not a big deal. Had gotten new lifting shoes for all this, wanted to get really excited about what I was going to do. As I drove home, I was feeling great, had a lot of energy, was just, you had that like post-workout, like, I feel amazing, even though I still weigh 200 pounds, and it was great. I felt really good, and I wanted to go back. But once again, this had happened before. I'd been there for a week, so I didn't count it. So 1 week, I would go, ding, McDonald's, every single morning. It was just annoying. It was, at this point, just my past whatever coming back, my past comfort zone coming back to haunt me. But as 1 week turned into 2 weeks, I kept on going, and something was different. Instead of waiting for me to sit in my comfort zone to where I was lifting at 12 p.m. to where, oh yeah, I can, if it hits 12, I'm busy. I got classes to do. I got work to do. I got stuff I got to do. I can't lift at 12. And then 12 turns to 5 p.m. You know what? I'm still busy. I'm still at work. I can't get it done. And that turns into not going. Instead, working out was the first thing I did that morning. Right when my alarm went off, I'm up, putting on my running shoes, going to the gym immediately. And it sucked. Plain and simple. It was, the first week I did it was right before Thanksgiving. That was the first week I started, I'm pretty sure. Did that whole week, went to Thanksgiving week, and of course, it was just, you don't need to go lift, it's Thanksgiving week. But instead, I continued to push myself outside my comfort zone, continue to get up early, because that's when I felt like I controlled my ability to get out of my comfort zone. Any other time, I was going to sink back into it and not want to go and not want to do anything. So as the weeks progressed, I continued to learn. I began to enjoy the gym more, and I fell kind of in love. I'm still not for sure, but I fell into running. Started with 1 mile. I think I read it at like a 9-minute pace, and I felt like I was going to die. This is coming from a person that in high school, I think I ran like 5:45 mile maybe, and 9 miles was killing me, or 9-minute mile was killing me. So I wanted to figure out how I could incorporate that into lifting and becoming the athlete that I wanted to be now that I was no longer in sports. Because the great thing about this was I was designing everything. I was designing how I ate, how I lifted, and how I ran. So as these weeks progressed, 1 mile turned into 2, 2 turned into 3, 3 turned into 4, and I began to see major improvements as I continued to press and get outside my comfort zone. It sucks running before lifting. It's terrible. It's the worst thing. Hate it. It is difficult. People will look at you and say, "Why are you doing that? You're losing gains." They will think you're crazy for doing it because nobody in their right mind runs and then lifts. But this was out of my comfort zone. Lifting I've done before. I've done it. I'm pretty strong. I wouldn't say I'm by no means the strongest person. I was not the strongest person ever. But I enjoyed it. I knew it. It was comfortable. And this was something that not only got me out of that comfort zone, it pushed me a little bit farther and helped me develop a consistency. And running is great because you see your goals immediately. Your results are apparent. You don't have to do a superset, or you don't have to do 5 sets of 5 to see where you're at. You don't have to max out. You can tell. You can tell how you feel. You can tell by the speed. You can tell by the intensity that you're running at. You can tell by how you're breathing, um, where you're at running wise. And as I continued to run, I noticed the next thing I needed to change was my diet. So I ended up changing my diet, going more strict on what I was putting in my body. Um, and it began to see even more and more gradual improvements. I started with a mile, like I said, and continued to run, and my goal was to hit a sub 6 minute mile. I think I started in November, and I didn't have my sub 6 minute mile until I want to say, I believe it was early January when I finally managed to run. I think it was a 5:56. It was on a treadmill, so yeah, it doesn't count. Sorry, runners. But I was happy. And that's when I asked, what's my next goal? I've been able to run a mile. It was the way it was. I felt good. Running a mile wasn't that much. But anything over a mile, I used to tell people, nope, that is not for me. Because once again, it's out of my comfort zone. So what I ended up doing was I increased to 2 miles and I increased to 3 miles. And then I was brought up with the task or the opportunity to run a half marathon, 13.1 miles. And I thought, not a shot in the world that would ever happen. But I was going to go for it. I was in a groove. I felt great. I was running 3 miles a day or whatever. So I was like, let's do it. Let's run a half marathon in 4 months. And my training began to pick up. And something I began to notice was when I would sit down in my car, my phone would ding again. And as I sat there at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 2 in the morning, I was there at midnight, 1 a.m., right before I had work at 6, so I would get up at 12:30, I would be at the gym by 1:30, and I would have my lift done by 4:30 and be on to work at 6 a.m. And what I began to see was when I'd sit in that car at 3 in the morning, ding, wasn't McDonald's 3 minutes away. It was Genesis Health Club 7 minutes away. And you might think that that is trivial. You might see that as hilarious, that I'm paying attention to Apple as they track me. You might think I'm crazy for leaving my GPS on all the time for Apple to know where I'm at. But this mindset, this visual aid, I think is super powerful. What is your ding McDonald's 3 minutes away? What is that thing that you sit there every single day at the same time and think, you know what, this is what is holding me back? Maybe it's ding video games 4 hours. Maybe it's ding nap time 12 to 3 p.m. Maybe it's ding smoking, drinking from 9 to 1 a.m. on a Friday night. What is that thing that when you read it over and over again, it feels comfortable and you know it's wrong, but you keep on turning to it? Change is difficult. Change is hard. Change sucks. But our ability to embrace change, our ability to force ourselves outside of our comfort zone is what ultimately allows us to change our lives. That ding Genesis Health Club still goes off every time I sit in my car in the morning. I've been going to the gym now pretty consistently for the past pretty much close to 6 months now. And I truly can say that I think I've changed my life. I've changed my health. I've changed my mindset, my mentality. Um, I'm happier. I'm more energized. It's just overall been better. So now that we've trying to determine what that ding McDonald's is, figure out what's going to be your ding Genesis 7 minutes away. And it doesn't have to be lifting. It doesn't have to be working out. That's just mine. It could be anything. I've started doing stock market stuff because I'm making money, so I want to invest. Maybe yours is ding, I want to buy a stock today, or look at stocks, or focus on my financial future. Maybe it's ding, as I'm trying to become a med student, it's time to study so that you can get into med school and eventually become a doctor. Maybe it's ding, I'm putting my phone down to go hang out with friends and enjoy life instead of being cooped up by yourself. Think about that. Like I said before, change is difficult. Getting outside your comfort zone is difficult. I think there are a few main ways that you can be successful from what I've done over the past 6 months, what you can draw to help you become successful in your change. I think the first major change or first major thing to implement is go to extremely uncomfortable. Go to extremely uncomfortable. And that's not saying put yourself in a health crisis or put yourself in like a panic attack or something. That's just saying push yourself farther than you think you should. I think it's easy, like I said, that I could have just said, you know what, I'm going to go at 12 p.m. to the gym, and that'll be fine. That'll be good. But that would eventually become a hurdle when I decided I didn't want to go at 12 and there was no time in the rest of my day to go. So then I just wouldn't go. So instead, going at 3 a.m. in the morning, yeah, it sucks getting up. Yes, it does. It's terrible. When my alarm goes off, I hate it every single time. But I push myself to the extreme to where I'm out of my comfort zone, and there's no way my comfort zone can pull me back in from there. Once you become consistent, extremely uncomfortable, you are a difficult person to pull back in, to fall back into your bad habits. Just the way it is. Because you've done the worst part of it, because you've pushed yourself to the worst part of it, now it's going to be that much harder for you to fall back into those bad habits. I promise. So first off, push yourself to extreme uncomfortable. And once again, that doesn't have to be working out. That could be anything. That could be forcing yourself to go socialize in a place that you just never would dream that you would go to. That might be going extreme on a diet for the first couple of weeks just to like force yourself off of something. It would be difficult, but that's how I see it. That's how my mindset works, is you have to force yourself to be extremely uncomfortable before you can create real change in your life. The second thing I would say is consistency. It's an easy one. People always say that it takes 21 days to develop a new habit. That, after going through this, you can bet that that's almost 100% correct. Because 3 weeks after 3 weeks of doing this where it sucked, yeah, it sucked on the 29th day or the 22nd day, the day after the third week, whatever it may be, but I promise you it sucked a little bit less on the 22nd day getting up because it had become a habit. The alarm still went off. It was just another day. Get up and make a change. I'm one of those people that can be self-motivated for the most part. So I can challenge myself and force myself to do stuff that other people, once again, might find crazy, might find ridiculous. And that's okay. This is who I am. You may not be that way, and that's okay. Find a consistency partner. Find somebody that has similar goals to you. Maybe that's even a little bit ahead of where you want to, or maybe a little bit closer to where you want to be than you are right now. And challenge that person. Become that person's consistency partner, or whatever it may be, to where they're studying for a test. You study with them. They're working out at this time. You are right there with them working out. That forces you to be accountable to another person. That forces you to be accountable to yourself. And it makes it a little bit easier when you have that chance to do that chance to create fellowship with somebody else, that chance to become closer to somebody else, even when you're creating this change that can be very difficult. Working through it together can be a big help. But once again, that all stems from finding a way to become consistent. How can you form consistency in that extremely uncomfortable situation or extremely uncomfortable change that you're putting yourself through? And one of the last pieces of advice I'd say is be lenient with yourself. And you might think I'm crazy for saying that, because most of my Instagram posts say like things, crazy stuff such as don't listen to your body. Sometimes your mind has to override your body, all that stuff. And while I do subscribe to that mindset, be okay messing up. Be okay accidentally going off your diet. Be okay giving in to the things that maybe held you back in the past. It's going to happen. It's going to be inevitable. If you think it's not going to happen, you're just not telling yourself the truth. Every single Sunday is my cheat day. That's really what it is. It's a cheat day. I don't have a cheat meal. I think cheat meals are stupid because you have one meal during the day and that's it, and it can throw off your whole cadence. So I have a cheat day. Monday through Saturday, I'm on a pretty strict diet for the most part when I'm in like a prep. And then Sunday is my cheat day. Regardless of what week it is, I prep 18 meals so that I have 3 meals for every day of the week plus Saturday. I do not have meals for Sunday. Sunday, I'm allowed to go wherever. Fast food. I can go to ding McDonald's. I can go wherever I want. This is the way I do it. I don't feel bad about it. I look forward to Sundays. Sundays are a reset. I don't work out. Eat whatever I want. It's a good day. But also Sunday is the start of another week. It's the day before my hardest workout. It's the day that sets up the entire week. It's my meal prep day. It's once again my rest day. So I'm prepping my body for the week of training ahead. And I can tell you for a fact, even though it's my cheat day, I usually try to eat pretty clean, because I've learned that when I go back to being strict, because of how consistent I am, when I go back to being strict on Monday and I have to hit those exact calories and I have to be at a caloric deficit and all this other stuff, I promise you on that Monday I feel like crap if I don't figure out a way to eat right. And your body will begin to tell you that. So it's okay to have a cheat day. It's okay to have a cheat meal. It's okay to accidentally mess up. It's okay. You're not going to be perfect. That's fine. Count on messing up. But go back the next day and be better. Don't let that one cheat day turn into a cheat week, turn into a cheat month, turn into a cheat life, turn into a life back in your comfort zone. Be strict on those 6 days. Be strict on the days that you've force yourself into that extremely uncomfortable situation and then sink back into your comfort zone. That's okay. But you'll learn eventually that your comfort zone isn't that comfortable, actually. You'll learn that your comfort zone actually creates more pain than it does, then it makes you feel good, then it makes you relax, then it makes you energized, whatever it may be. You'll notice that your comfort zone really isn't that comfortable. It's a crutch. And you'll learn that you're more comfortable, maybe even happier, healthier, more energized, excited to start your day. You look in the mirror and you see somebody you want to be. You'll notice that when you're extreme uncomfortable, it becomes just your everyday life. It becomes your other comfort zone. And that's what you want it to be. I would have never imagined that I would have ever been able to wake up one day and run 8 miles in my entire life. Now at least once a week I'm running at least 8 miles on a run, if not twice a week, and on the other days I'm running at least 3. Never in my life would I have ever thought I would look forward to waking up and running. I have a 5-mile run tomorrow. Can't wait. It's going to be great. Get to run at a nice easy pace at 8 minutes a mile because that's my comfort zone. Today I was outside of my comfort zone. Had to run it at a pretty intense pace for 8 miles, and tomorrow I get to relax and run 8-minute miles. Change sucks. It does. It's the hardest thing about life. It can be so difficult to move from one phase to another. It can be so difficult to make the difficult choices. It can be very difficult to make difficult changes. But those changes that you make might determine, number one, who you're going to be, how successful you're going to be in life, and also how happy you are. That's what I've kind of learned over the past few months is find something that makes you happy. Find something that makes you enjoy life, but also isn't crippling you at the same time. The last thing I'll talk about today is the idea of what I posted today on my Instagram. It said, don't fear failure. But fear not reaching your full potential. You all have goals, you all have dreams, you all have aspirations, and I hope you guys will meet all of those. There's something that you're designed to do. There's something that you're going to do to make a change in this world. There's something you're going to be able to do to become successful, to become happy. But if you don't make the necessary changes, you're going to miss that full potential. It's not a threat. It's not something to scare you necessarily, but it's just a realization. Some of you are being too comfortable right now, and you're sacrificing your comfort and your happiness later. Don't sacrifice your full potential for the comfort of McDonald's today. It's not worth it. I would say that I'm not comfortable doing this podcast. I don't even know if you consider it a podcast at this point, but it was my first attempt. I'm not comfortable doing this. This is extremely uncomfortable for me, sitting in my empty room, talking to a screen. But it's something I wanted to do. I wanted to push myself to be extremely uncomfortable. And we'll see where it leads. So, once again, change sucks, but it's necessary. Find a way to reach your full potential. We'll see you next time. This has been Life with Loerke. Actually, life according to Loerke. This has been Life according to Loerke.